This is exactly the high-level Overwatch match we were hoping it would be.
I can't believe it! Absolutely crazy.
Man, that was close.
It's time for Watchpoint.
Welcome to MLG's Watchpoint. Mr. X here with Monty and Uber, and week 3 was pretty crazy. It was long, so many game 5s.
I think this is actually my favorite week of Overwatch League non-stage playoff matches so far. The storylines we have going right now are great. A lot of the matches, Boston-London was so sick. The 2 New York reverse sweeps. It's been a really good week of games.
I mean, I am gassed. We had so many of those 5-map series that went all the way, and like you sort of these reverse sweeps that we see keep occurring, and like you kind of think in the back of your head when you're casting, oh, surely there's not going to be another reverse sweep. It is all the way through.
Yeah, between how long the weekend was and then watching the first episode of Westworld 3 times last night to figure out what happened, I'm gassed. I'm
Just
completely...
watch the Season 1 recap. That's all you have to do. But we're going to recap Stage 3, Week 3. 3 of us sitting here to break it all down. But first, let's start with your biggest stories in 90 seconds.
The uprising in Spitfire gave us some of the best Overwatch action to date, as Boston capped a stellar comeback over London to win in 5 maps.
They've done it! Unbelievable! The Boston Uprising snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Even they can't believe it, man.
And continued their undefeated Stage 3 with another big win over a top team, taking down Seoul 2-1.
Yo, it is mad rowdy in here today, man. These guys are getting loud.
The battle for Los Angeles lived up to the hype. In a back-and-forth affair, the Valiant prevailed, taking it to overtime on the 5th map before conquering the Gladiators.
Done! There's no one left! There it is! The green and gold! Take it to the Maximus!
The Valiant, however, could not remain among the stage's unbeatens, falling just short in a close loss to the Spitfire later in the week.
Los Angeles Valiant, now they've been put on notice. You had a good streak.
The Shock's young guns finally seemed to click with a convincing 4-0 over the Fuel,
San Francisco Shock over Dallas Fuel, big win for them.
followed by a seismic upset over the Fusion later in the week. And the NYXL played an encore of their Stage 2 finals victory by reverse sweeping the Fusion once again.
How clutch is that? The prophecy comes true.
They would then fall down 2-0 to the Gladiators as well, but again completed the 3-map comeback behind Big Boss Pine.
That's it! Unbelievable! The reverse sweep for New York.
So there you have it. I've also learned that I need to find another word to say than unbelievable, and you better believe it. But we'll get there. The Uprising so far on top in Stage 3 with that undefeated record. You better believe it. The NYXL and the Valiant are 1 game behind Boston's pace. And remember, 4 teams now making it into the stage playoffs thanks to Monty infiltrating the high ranks of Blizzard and changing things from the inside. So with those 2 wins this week,
You're welcome.
the San Francisco Shock are currently in. And we saw Architect obviously play a little bit more. That Route 66 match, I tell you what, it was Carpe who came out with a rawhide in that game. The Widow play was absolutely stellar.
Is getting the whips, I guess. But this is a really good sign, I think, for the San Francisco Shock. Obviously, Architect hyped for his Genji play, but it was really his Widowmaker that was surprising as we got later on here in Stage 3. I really disagreed how they were integrating him at first, trying to make him play the Sombra instead of Dante, but now he's back on track, and he's already in the upper echelon statistically of Widowmaker players, as you can see right here, in spite of also not having the best synergy with his team in the first week of competition. So this is going to be, I think, or second week, I should say, when he debuted, his first week of competition, but already looking a lot better. And Architect's only going to deliver more and more as the stage and as the season goes on.
I just wish they were able to have this roster from the beginning, right?
I know,
you sit
right?
around and wait for a lot of these guys to turn 18 and Architect to get here, and you don't know what it would have been for the whole season, but they look pretty good, to potentially make the stage playoffs. I think they figured out how to use Dante and Sinatra as well.
Yep.
It's been a good core rotation at DPS. It seems like, at the beginning they tried to fit Baby Bay in there as well. Like they brought him in for like a few game 5s and whatnot, but I think they've kind of settled on these 3. You bring Dante in when you want to run stuff other than no Tracer, right? You can have him run Tracer, Sombra, Junkrat, a lot of different heroes. And then when you want that dedicated Tracer player, it's almost like how Billy rotates like EQO, Snillo, and
like
Carpe.
Los Angeles Valiant, take note, by the way. The Valiant are out there trying to play Genji Tracer attack on Volskaya, using the wrong sort of setup of the DPSs.
That was terrible.
But like you can see the Shock now have a fair and a rotation that makes sense and it fits the team comps and the maps that they're trying to play. Don't play Genji Tracer on attack on Volskaya.
Hey,
yeah,
you could play Sombra on Junkerton.
I also think that having Architect, when you have a flex player between Widow and Genji, is just so valuable because that means you can move on any given map between Tracer Widow comps and Genji Tracer Dive comps, which is like a really good strategic flexibility.
In all fairness, we're talking about that. The Dallas Fuel also try to play like Genji Tracer on Temple of Anubis as well, instead of having, they didn't have a Widow player in there or they didn't have them play it. So team, that's fine. We're getting there on those comps, but it's really good to see the Shock have a good setup. They're using the right players at the right times. This is kind of what we were promised at the beginning in the preseason.
And they're 4-2 now, so still looking good, as Mr. X said, to the stage playoffs. But let's move on to the New York Excelsior. We don't know for sure if they are cutting back on scrim time with that big lead in the standings, but it definitely looks like it. But they are definitely playing more maps during their matches. They have 4 straight 5-map matches, but they were able to reverse sweep both of them this week, and they're still towards the top of the table on the stage.
This lineup here is the one they've been starting with, right?
Yeah.
They've obviously had Janus in, with Meko as the tank player, and they've sort of moved him out of the series after sort of map 2. Funnily enough, they're also going to 5 maps in many of these series. Also, they're having to reverse sweep twice this week. Ergo, they're losing the maps with Janus in them, and then when they bring, Mano in, they're actually able to sweep the series.
Yeah, and if you look at that graphic too, you see that they're running a lot of the same styles of composition. Of course, we expect a lot of Tracer and Widow on these this particular set of assault maps in Volskaya and then Anubis Attack, but they haven't had the same interesting switch-ups of tactics and compositions that we saw on stage 2, which is why it seems like they're dialing back on practice a little bit.
I think with Janus, they're just trying to play a little bit of a different play style. I think they're trying to play a little bit more aggressive. When we watched, I remember the game that we casted, when we watched Janus play, he was always like, going on these flanks like Fraggy, or he's diving in, and instead of like how Mono kind of jumps back to the supports, Janus just keeps going, right? And then they would send Libero and Save LB in there as well, and the other team just kind of peels for the supports, and they're able to win those fights. What you see Mono do so well is Mono is able to get out of there, help the supports, and stay alive. I
think that Janus demands more resources from the supports, and then less of those resources would get sort of diverted to Jonak, as is the traditional winning way for the New York Excelsior. I think that Jonak benefits a lot from having the Mercy sort of hover around him, but let's talk about Pine.
Pine was.
He's nutty.
I don't have to.
He gets subbed in and then he just starts ripping. So this stuff was pretty odd. Okay, so I had a week where I did a lot more yelling than usual, which is saying something, but it was often off the back of this guy. He's 11-1 in map score at this stage so far for the NYXL. So you can see that he's instant impact player. It's just like, just add water and he's wrecking it.
Yeah.
And this is the big thing about Pine too, is that in the absence of having these prepared strategies like we saw from them in stage 2 when Pine didn't hardly play at all, Pine is like the wild card. He's the one who's opening up these matches, and they're able to play around his individual strengths, and that's why they're coming back and reverse sweeping.
The most impressive thing about Pine for me is that they bring him in when they're down or when they're struggling, and he instantly just brings them back to the top. Every single time. The guy never has a bad game. I want to talk about what London Spitfire did this week. We finally saw some line of consistency in the win over the Valiant. And for me, I thought Hurek played quite well. I think, a lot of people have, kind of compared him to Birdring. Look, we know he's not Birdring, but I think as a second DPS, somebody who can support the likes of Gesture and Profit, he has done just that in a big way.
And I kind of think he always has. So that was kind of the way with the GC Busan as well. You can see here that Birdring is, objectively better on Widowmaker this season. Right? Hurek did get dumpstered a couple times on Widow. There's actually a clip we'll look at later on where this actually happened. So you can see that Hurek, for me, more of a supportive DPS player. In fact, there's an article out recently that sort of discusses that, and I think that kind of allows Profit to be that, that game-breaking individual that he used to be.
Well, and Prophet is, I think, playing at a level where we have to consider him as a possible MVP candidate because his consistency has been absolutely insane. And he's one of the very few players in this league that is elite at both Tracer and Genji. And as you can see, he's leading all Tracer players this season in final blows and limbs for 10 minutes. And if you think about that, okay, everybody's saying Saebyeol, the Striker, these are the best Tracer players. Well, here you go, Prophet quietly slipping into the lead in some of these great statistical categories.
You know what's better than consistency, Monty? It's even improving and remaining consistent. So now this is actually Prophet, with Hureg versus with Birdring. So you can actually see that significantly better performance so far with Hureg. Yes, it's a smaller sample size because Hureg has been in the team, but this is kind of what I mean. Prophet now can maybe receive more of those resources from the rest of his team. And we think back to how GC Busan made that Royal Road attempt. It was with Hureg. That was the formula that they came up with that allowed them to win Apex so many moons ago now that we think of it. So perhaps maybe this setup of the team, while Hureg is objectively not as strong a player as Birdring in that role, it allows Prophet to unleash a little bit more.
I mean, still, we need to have them both in the lineup again. I want to see Birdring back. I think what made London strong, what we all said coming into this season, they have the strongest DPS duo in the league. We have to see this get to work, honestly.
Sometimes, though, you get a little bit better with subtraction, though. So sometimes maybe you see them play better as an overall team with Birdring out for a little bit. But I selfishly want to see Birdring.
I'm sure two Siamese fighting fish in the same tank look really good. But I don't think the results are going to be great.
The two Siamese fighting fish won stage 1. So I think we're going to need to go back to that. I think
did win
the
stage
synergy's
1.
fine.
That's a decent
I think
point.
it's Birdring's individual performance that's been slumping. So let's get back to that duo.
We'll see it eventually. Our favorite plays each week are often the plays that happen when we least expect it. This is didn't see that coming. This one we definitely saw coming, though. Fissure goes off the map to kill Mercy and Farah versus the Valiant. As soon as you saw him jump near the ledge there, you knew that Primal Rage was going to come out. This is such a sick play. I believe Miro did something on this, like Ilios, way back.
Yeah, he
equally as sick.
Yeah, he did. This is one of my favorite Overwatch League plays I've ever seen. I'm a sucker for tank plays, but I'm also a sucker for the big boss, Hein. As you see, this just insane 3K that he gets against the Gladiators.
I mean, I didn't get that excited about it at the time. It wasn't really, that great. I'm lying. Go back and watch the clip. It was awesome. The crowd is losing it as well. I loved it. Yeah, this is great. Fraggy gets a glimpse, just a glimpse, of his arch nemesis in this matchup, Saebyeol, just around the corner. Obviously, you think he might be trying to relocate. No, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's not a coward, Fraggy.
Fraggy needs a whole segment on just Fraggy plays at the end of the season. Just whether he's flanking on the Reinhardt, just blindly charging into doorways. So we got Nevix here. It's Seagull protecting his wall from the EMP. Nice play. That self-destruct though over the top.
It was such a good play until it wasn't, right?
Yeah. Comprehensively wrecked. I mean, Nevix doesn't think about the wall before he uses that. He just puts it perfectly in the corner and they played themselves. Another one.
How rarely do you see a Farah back cap, but Effect spends a little bit of time hiding out deep behind enemy lines, and they don't win the point, but they do flip it here as a result of his efforts. Complete surprise.
Yeah, your boy was out there waiting for about a minute, so it was a very long flank. Here's Linkson, though. Here's the Dragon Blade. Actually, now, line of sight's very important for Transcendence, so notice how Linkson sort of navigates this situation. He finds Effect, who you can still kill through a Transcendence if you get that hit. And then I think Harry Hook was actually around the corner and didn't get the Transcendence because he was out of line of sight there. So 3 kills through a Trans is huge value.
Yeah, it looks like Harry moved a little bit to the right, which pushes him behind the wall. This one's Saya player. So Dragons, they're about to force map 5.
No, they're not.
And then they don't. I remember watching this at home. I was like, oh, they're going to do it. And then Saya player just went absolutely huge here on the defensive side for Florida.
I mean, Logix was the real hero, though.
Oh,
he didn't even die on Route 66.
Thanks to Logix.
And here we go, Mistakes. Now in the spotlight for the Boston Uprising. He's going to kill Miro, and then the long-range Deadeye reflect onto Fleta. This is more humorous than anything else.
What are you doing, Fleta? You're dead. That is so exploitable playing up against the Genji. I'm sure he knows that as well. I think he's trying to kill Gamsu, but here's your boy Hago. I didn't get excited about this one either, actually. Very generic stuff from me and Matt in this moment. But this is a cleanup, in all fairness, but this guy is still filthy.
You know, this is the best series he probably has had in the Overwatch League this far, and they took him out at halftime.
I don't know why they did that.
Ended up losing. Let's go with a Bunny 5K. Very intense fight. The Steel Numbani with a Valiant versus the Gladiators. I thought Bunny was tremendous on Tracer in this series, and you see towards the end here, the Gladiators don't pay him any attention. He's able to just clean up everybody.
And it's actually hard to watch. You see it on the kill feed, right? But we're watching from that sort of free cam, so we didn't quite see it go down. Didn't see that coming, guys. A lot of amazing stuff this week, and we barely scratched the surface with some of that stuff. But the third installment for the battle for LA did not disappoint. It all came down to a fifth map battle on Oasis, where the Valiant rose above the pressure to gain the victory in a truly heroic moment.
We got the LA Valiant going up against the LA Gladiators. Yo, it is mad rowdy in here today, man.
And this is going to take us to a map 5. That's it! No better way to end the Battle of LA than a final showdown, Matt. It's getting hot in here.
Let's get it, guys. Last map, okay?
그냥 똑같이 그냥 2대2에서 오아시스 넘어갈 때 기세가 너무 좋다 보니까 저희가 쉽게 가져갈 수 있다는 생각으로 임했습니다.
This Fisher's like diving off the map.
Fisher breaks him down!
That is so filthy.
손브라가 그 맵의 그 지형 자체가 손브라가 너무 좋아요. 그래가지고 그냥 저희가 괜히 파라로 해보겠다 그러고 부딪혔다가
First round Gladiators looking unstoppable now. Here we go though, round 2.
저번에도 글래디가 한탱을 써가지고 이번에도 쓸 수도 있겠구나 해서 그 조합을 가져갔는데
If they're triple tank, just aggro ping pong and let Ojo carry.
저희가 그냥 저희 파라한테 힘을 많이 실어주면서 탱커를 되게 갉아먹는 식으로 하면은
But where is the answer for this Pharah?
저는 후방을 흔들어주면서 시선 분산을 시켜주는 역할을 했고 거기서 뭐 펄스를 채워서 펄스를 붙인다던가 그런 식으로 플레이를 했습니다.
That's a massive pulse bomb for Bunny.
그 조합 상대 조합 때 저희 조합에서 제 역할은 되게 뭔가 하나를 노리는 게 아니고 되게 상대 시선을 분산시켜주고 어그로만 끌어주는 그냥 그 각이 보이니까는 아 잡을 수 있겠구나 해서 그냥 잡은 것 같아요.
There's no one left from the Gladiators to contest. The Valiant say, is there no one else?
Alright, we got this, guys. We got this.
저희가 파라고 상대가 손브라면 저희가 좀 더 잘 이용할 수 있거든요. 그 맵을. 그래서 그냥 아 이거는 3라운드는 그 머릿속으로 생각했을 때 그렇게 안 어렵겠구나 생각하고.
And the Gladiators, a very long fight. They've got 2 kills, but they're only working with a couple of players now.
글래디 그런 조합을 들고 오고 저희도 실수를 좀 해서 좀 포인트를 좀 내줬었는데
Space in mini diva form is not really where you want to stick that. And the Valiant will remain in control.
Hey, okay, really good, really good. Take position and focus on.
And now, one more fight will decide the outcome of not just this round, but this entire 5-map series.
마지막 싸움에 들어갈 때 정말 너무 떨려가지고 에임도 잘 안 맞았거든요. 그래가지고 이제 한번 심호흡을 한번 했어요. 그때 심호흡을 한번 하고 가는 길에 손보라가 보이는 거예요.
I'm a baby, I'm a baby, I'm a baby there.
잡아가지고 이제 더 유리한 상황에서 저희가 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Found himself 2 kills, he found both supports. Unbelievable.
물러갈 각이 나오면 차질 선수 제나타를 물러가서 방해를 좀 많이 했는데 그냥 혼자 있는 게 보여서 간 거 같아요.
It's done. The Gladiators try and clip the wings of the Valiant, but the green and gold take it to the Maximus.
저희가 이겨가지고 이제 일어나서 서로 악수하고 하고 있는데 관객들의 환호 소리가 정말 대단했던 것 같아요. 그래서 많이 힘을 받고 앞으로도 열심히 할 생각입니다.
It was 4-0 in favor of the Gladiators last stage, but now this city belongs to the Valiant.
There's a case to be made that Bunny has made the biggest impact of any transferred players in Stage 3. He leads the league in Tracer elims per 10, and he's top 5 in hero damage and solo kills. He's a big reason the Valiant sit in second place for the stage. And the team the Valiant are chasing is the Boston Uprising, which is where we'll begin today's Attack or Defend, where Uber and Mr. X debate some important topics.
So important!
And I fight the urge to prove them both wrong and insert my opinions at the end. So, Boston keeps winning, and Striker keeps popping off. There is a good argument that this guy is the biggest breakout star of Stage 3. The Uprising could have easily fallen apart without Dreamcasper, but thanks to Striker, they haven't skipped a beat. And when you look at the numbers, he's been doing it all season. Striker's Tracer is second in the league in final blows, eliminations, and pulse bomb per 10 minutes. When you combine these numbers with his leadership when the team has really needed him, the point will be that Striker is the lead candidate for MVP. Uber, attack or defend?
Okay, let's do something a little bit different. Let's attack this one. Here's something I prepared earlier.
I can see a lot of preparation on the screen. This is
Is this Tai Chi?
There it is.
Tai Chi, there you go.
Here's my boy Dante. We're talking about MVPs. Again, it's not just about stage 3. We talk about this. It's not most improved either. That's not what this award goes to. So, even Striker and even Dante in some cases might not be in consideration. I don't know if I'd call Striker the lead candidate. I think that Dante has actually done more.
So you're saying Dante is the lead candidate for MVP right now?
I would say that he's definitely in the conversation. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna attack this as well. I don't think Striker is the league MVP. I think he's very close. I think for me, league MVP's got to be on the top team right now. I look at NYXL, just the body of work they had over the whole year. It's got to be somebody from that team. It may even be Mono with how his record has been. I mean, 13-3 with him in the lineup, 6-6 with Janice.
All right. I'm going to go with Uber because of his interpretive Dante dance or Tai Chi. I actually disagree with both of you guys. Mono and Dante are definitely not the MVPs of this league right now, but nice try.
Do you really think it has to be on the bet? Like the MVP needs to be on the best team?
No, I don't.
How valuable you are to the team.
I agree.
Yeah.
Another name that's been in the map discussion all season is Fleta, but the Dynasty are looking more and more like a middle-of-the-pack team. Seoul is just 4-6 in their last 10 matches. It's when your team is struggling that you need that MVP the most, and his numbers this stage aren't helping his case much either. Out of 90 DPS players in Overwatch League, Fleta's highest rank is 10th for hero damage per 10 minutes. He's right in the middle for deaths and below average for elims. There are a lot of factors in play with these numbers, but the point is, Fleta is not currently an MVP candidate. Mr. X, you can start attack or defend.
I'm going to defend that. I don't think Fleta is an MVP candidate right now. I think Seoul Dynasty has struggled so much that you've seen. Look at a team like Boston, right? When they were faced with so much adversity, Striker is able to play at the same level and kind of pull them out of it. We haven't seen that from Fleta. I do think, though, teams have done a nice job of targeting Fleta, and Seoul really hasn't adjusted around that at all. I do want to attack this. I think that it's possible that you can still consider him to be there. The stats actually aren't that bad at all. Low eliminations or being low down on eliminations isn't a problem because he's high up in final blows. So he's spreading less damage, but he's getting most of these kills. In stage 1, he was absolutely a standout player, one of the very best. And we're looking over the whole season, not just over, stage 3 or stage 4. We have to see our perspective broadens or becomes narrower as we get towards the end of the season. I think he should still be considered for now. We'll see what stage 4 has.
Okay, I actually like your points more, but to make it more exciting, go to the third point for the tiebreaker. Plus, you didn't shave again this week for the show, so it's going to be Mr. X.
Still undefeated.
Okay, last one here. On Friday, a phenomenon took over the Blizzard Arena during the Boston versus Seoul match, as both teams applied hand sanitizer before the game. The crowd then joined in, then the desk talent joined in. Quite simply, Uber, hand sanitizer, attack or defend. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, hook me up with that. Look, people are getting sick all the time. We keep hearing people talk about being ill. I defend this point. I think it's a great idea. It's more convenient than washing your hands with soap because you can do it after you come through the crowd and onto the stage. And also, people busy doing this in the crowd. There's no space for that one person to scream. So this stuff all the time. I'm going to attack this. This stuff is 70% alcohol. This stuff will dry your skin out. Just go to the bathroom and wash your hands. When you leave the bathroom, wash your hands. They've got to walk on stage. Be a normal person. Ron Burgundy over there. I'm pretty sure you need to. Bro, this stuff is dangerous. You don't have time to go and wash your hands. I don't mess with this. Wash your hands like a normal person.
With Uber, you can do both. You can wash your hands, but they are high-fiving
this stuff will dry your skin out.
There have been too many sick players, also sick players who don't play for other reasons, but that's what's told to you and everybody else. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Uber here because they're like high-fiving the crowd as they come out. I think it's just better for everybody.
You got put in a dumpster.
What you do is you just give pounds, bro, and you're good. And then just wash your hands after.
That's true, too. That's
still skin-to-skin contact.
All right.
Come on, guys.
Enough of these two guys' opinions. As usual, I'm most interested to listen to my own opinions for a moment. So here's the full Monty. Thanks, Monty. Doing fantastic work, as we always expect from you. And like I said, it is the full Monty, and we're returning to our favorite team on this segment. Who could it be with the Dallas fuel. It's just never enough with these guys as the meltdown continues even after the latest round of coaching and roster changes. They now appear to have entirely given up on the season as their star DPS player, Effect, quietly returned to Korea for undisclosed reasons for an undisclosed period of time. And of course, some might say that player health comes first, since the Fuel are effectively out of the season playoff contentions, but missing practice and matches fails to give meaningful information regarding who to keep or release for next season based on synergy and performance. Furthermore, we shouldn't even need this player to leave in the first place. If this is the point that we've gotten to on the Fuel, where all of their players, especially Effect for the second time this season, has to take a break and go back to his home country, there is a deep infrastructural problem with the Dallas Fuel surrounding player attitude and burnout. And while this is what he may need right now, it should never, ever have gotten to this point. Players need to be able to play for an entire season without these ridiculous breaks. That said, abandon hope for any signs of life in Season 1, Fuel fans. It's over for 2018. And on to another down note. Seoul Dynasty appears determined to miss yet another stage playoff even after the pool was expanded to 4 teams. They didn't even make the stage playoffs the other 2 stages after coming in with heavy expectations. And for a squad initially determined to live up to their name and create a legacy of Overwatch success, their slow decline is alarming, especially now. They are 4-6 in their last 10 matches, with wins over only the bottom teams in Overwatch League, such as the Dragons, Fuel, Shock, and Mayhem. Seoul now is in real danger of slipping out of the overall playoff race if this trajectory continues. The lack of a consistent roster hints at overcoaching and a possible case of too many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to lineups and strategy. At least, unlike Effect, they're not taking breaks in Korea, I guess, but their perch atop the Pacific Division guarantees them a playoff slot as long as they aren't overtaken by the Valiant. And that lead is growing narrower and narrower as the weeks go on. It's still far more precarious than fans would have ever believed for the Seoul Dynasty at the start of the Overwatch League. Hopefully we'll see them gel with a roster, gel with a strategy, and move towards being one of the top teams once again. And that's been the Full Monty.
Shock, man, they are looking spicy right now. These recent additions, they are revamped across the board.
This is one of the most entertaining teams in the league right now.
Our DPS rotation at the moment gives us a pretty big advantage.
Nice kill on a refill from Sinatra.
Baby man, that's it. Come to daddy, he says.
Now the hack comes in from Architect.
That's the monster one. Dante just hacks him to bits.
What an all-star he's been. He cut Seoul in half.
Sinatra brings to the team one of the best tracers in the league. He's like really aggro, he knows how to kill backline, always flanking.
Pretty valuable kill until Sinatra is there.
Personally, I play like a way more passive style.
There's a beautiful stick from Dante.
No kidding, and then right into the kill on the AKN.
I would say my favorite hero is Sombra because not that many people play her, and I think it's cool to bring like new heroes to the table.
Dante, man, he just got so many great snags, great snipes, great hacks.
I would say Baby brings a really aggressive style to the team. So there's some teams that don't really know how to deal with players like Baby. It could be really good to bring him out as like a wild card in certain matches.
A total cleanup here, a team wipe, and Baby reigns supreme.
I would say Architect brings a lot of flexibility to our team. Basically, whenever we have him in, he can play whatever hero we need him to play.
Architect has just been crazy. That is exactly what they needed, and that might be enough to get them the point.
영웅폭이 넓다 보니까 이제 팀적으로 쓸 수 있는 그런 조합들이 많기 때문에 딜러 선수들과 다른 점은 영웅폭이 좀 더 넓고.
He plays Pharah, Widow, Genji all at the highest level.
Architect making it look pretty easy.
이번에 샌프란시스코 쇼크에 어린 선수들이 많이 영입되는데 어린 만큼 앞으로도 좋은 모습 많이 보여줄 거라 생각하기 때문에
It's the DPS, it's Architect and Dante who saved San Francisco.
The beauty of playing all of our league matches in the same arena this season is, actually, we don't have to go to LAX at all, is we all get to share
the biggest bonus,
so many great moments, many of which are emote worthy. It's time for me to run you through the best ones in emote control. Gentlemen, strap yourselves in. We got some good ones. Hydration Man is back.
Oh, some weird voodoo.
Mate, that's funny as heck.
I absolutely love this. So this is a big MLG bone face for me. Skull PogChamp. Having him dress up, you can see in the background too, they're pretending to drink his hydration water. He's flipping out. These are the kinds of fans I love to see at the arena. Very creative use of Soon as the puppet. With the water bottles to control him too.
I love it. This is just too funny. I think our fans are getting more creative as the year has gone on. I'm scared for what Stage 4 is going to look like.
Playoffs?
And playoffs with just signs and puppets and who knows.
Keep bringing it, keep bringing it, keep bringing it.
These guys, I love the extent you're going to. It's funny, the Valiant fans are such bros as well. They look like they feel like frat dudes out there with the biceps and everything like that. But here's a bit of a brutal C9 for you guys. Not a week passes by without one.
Okay.
Check the top of the screen. Check the ultimates.
Is everybody just asleep during this? Like, what is happening? Seagull tried to double back, but I think he was slightly outside of the window of time to trigger the overtime. This is a brutal C9, though.
When
Look at the
people go
ultimates.
back in time and they ask what happened to the Dallas Fuel in year 1 of the Overwatch League, this is the clip that should be played. It's just a perfect example. No,
they don't even look bad, though. At this point, they're resigned to their fate.
No, I mean,
this is
the fifth stage of grief, right? Like, it's acceptance.
You can't be angry.
Hector's just smiling through his pain.
I mean, look at this Libero. Getting psyched out here by the Philly fan. I felt bad at the time because I thought, wow, Libero might not really be used to that kind of behavior. Apparently, he said it was a great psych on Twitter.
This is hilarious, and I've got the baby rage. This is the fan's face after the reverse sweep happened. The revenge was real for this one, so I'm sure this fan was pretty salty in the end.
This is hype. You know, it's getting scary out there when Philly fans start to invade. Those Philly fans are no joke. I've been to a few Eagles Giants contests, and I know those Eagles fans are pretty mean. I expect the Fusion fans to definitely bring it once the playoff starts.
Yeah, you can see the look on his face. He knows he done gone and got done. I like it. That's pretty funny. Here's your boy Hureg, by the way, getting killed on the Who Regular 4 times in a row. This guy just gets dumpstered. And you know what? When he gets knocked down, he gets up again. You're never going to keep him down.
Fortunately, he keeps getting back up.
Okay, I guess we're going to do tub thumping now. Hooreg thumping, this is just ridiculous, though. And, you were even talking about earlier in this show how you think Hooreg is a great role player. I want to see more Birdring. I mean, Hooreg has done what he can, but it's time for Birdring to come back.
Don't you think he plays a great role as someone who's dead?
Sideshow.
Drawing enemy fire is a role, I guess.
He does a great death scene, I thought.
You can't let this happen a few times in a row. Especially like the Widow on Widow battles. Those look so bad when it happens.
Right, get this. This is how much pressure was on Boston in this match, this turnaround. Striker overcome with emotion. The feels are there after winning that game. I mean, it's not even a final, but man, it's like a visceral experience for this guy.
I don't know if I have an appropriate. I'll have to go back with this one because this excites me. I mean, seeing this much passion on the stage is really good. And Striker too clutched out that map 5 because not only was he getting all the kills, he was touching the point. He was keeping it alive in a match that Boston very nearly lost.
I love this. This stuff kind of gets me excited as a caster and just being involved in the scene to just see how much each individual match means to these guys. To see Striker after that match, I know even just watching it from the inside, just completely shocked. You can just see how awesome.
Yeah, sometimes we've been told that we kind of fabricate a narrative and sort of because we often are the ones that have to speak to how much these things mean to players. We have to say it meant a lot to him, but that really shows it clear that it meant a heck of a lot to Striker. So nothing needs to be said there. But before we get out of here, we'd like to offer some things we've learned from week 3. Matt now knows there's a 4th letter after A, B, and C, so that's a good start. We're going to work on the rest of it.
Only 22 more to go.
With the benefit of some hindsight, the man whose head is closest to his hindquarters, Matt, start us off.
I'm just leveling up every week. Just wait until you see my final form in Stage 4. But I think teams should start using more of their rosters to combat a little bit of the fatigue you see sitting in. You see Janice playing a little bit more for NYXL. You see them kind of splitting time between Libero and Pine. I think you need to see a lot of these other teams split some of their roster, use some of the more of these players. I didn't like it earlier in the season. I think you needed to, get a real good core, a real good strategy of playstyle. But now I think for some of those teams that are at the top of the standings, you need to just kind of take it off a little bit, ease some of these players in because you want them fresh for that playoffs in Stage 4.
I agree, and something has to be done. To piggyback off your point, Matt, we need to deal with players having becoming accustomed to the rigors of the league. I mean, we're looking at these guys burning out ostensibly, having to go back to their home countries, take extended breaks. Overwatch League players, it's only going to get worse. Regular sports athletes deal with these 6-month-long seasons with constant travel, and you're going to be getting that when the localization occurs for this league. So you think it's bad now, it's only going to get worse. Teams need to be better at infrastructure to provide the support for these players to prevent burnout, and the players, honestly, sometimes need to suck it up.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, give it to him straight, Monty. I tend to agree that this is not going to get any easier. For me, though, I believe the San Francisco Shock are finally starting to show us what they promised in the preseason and more. Because not only are we seeing the much hyped up players, Super and Sonata come onto this team, but Dante is performing way better than anyone expected him to, and they brought in Architect, who's really starting to rip it up. It is early days yet, okay? They had a good week. They did beat Philly. They had a 2-0. They beat Fuel as well. We need to see more consistency. Losing to Seoul 0-4 in week 1 is going to make this look a little bit harder to sort of construct, but I think we're finally starting to get the juice, what we wanted from San Francisco. Their fans should be happy, and hopefully they continue to deliver. There it is. That's me. That's your boy. But that does it for MLG's Watchpoint. Check out our Watchpoint preview show on Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on the OverwatchLeague.com, just in case you need more of this guy in your life.
But you do
or the
want
Overwatch League app. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.